Today is Youth Sunday, so I'm 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 asked to preach. I thank Pastor, thank Romy, and thank the Thrive members to let me preach today. So when you want to, for example, I can see some fathers here. When you want to give your daughter to a man in marriage, what is the character that you expect in that person? What did God do? What did God look for? God wanted to appoint a good king for Israel. Israel is his firstborn son, or we can call bride of God. He wanted to give a good king for Israel. What did God look for? 1 Samuel 16:7, it says, "But the Lord said to Samuel, do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." That's what God is looking for. It doesn't clearly explain what did God look for in the heart of David, but it is explained in Psalm 78, verses 71 and 72. I'm reading it. It's not in the PPT I'm reading. "He chose David, his servant, took him from the sheep pens, tending the sheep. He brought him to be the shepherd of his people, Jacob, Israel, his inheritance. And David shepherded them with integrity of heart. With skillful hands he led them." So that's the character that God expected in David, and God found that character in David. And not only that, he also commends, or he also wants Solomon, his son, to have that kind of heart. 1 King chapter 9, verse 4 and 5. "As for you, if you walk," God speaking to Solomon, "as for you, if you walk before me faithfully with integrity of heart and uprightness, as David your father did, and do all I command to observe my decrees and laws, I will establish your throne over Israel forever." So today's topic is the character of integrity. The character of integrity. So what do you mean by integrity? What's the definition of integrity? We can say honesty, sincerity, all these things, but the biblical definition of integrity is the quality of being complete. The quality of being complete. Integrity also mean it's perfect or whole, but the biblical idea is wholeness and completeness. I want to explain with one picture. Before that, the integrity, the word integer comes from the word integrity, right? Integer we would have studied in maths, right? Integer is, what is an integer? It's a whole number. It is not a fraction. It's a whole number. So let's take a steel rod, for example. Steel rod. We use it in constructions, right? So how do you test the quality of the steel rod? So how do they test this? They will take the steel rod and they will pass a heavy stress on the rod, and that test is called integrity test. So if the steel rod holds the pressure, it's safe, but it doesn't hold the pressure, it is doomed as it doesn't have integrity. Because outside it looks very fine, it looks nice, shining, but inside it is weak, it is brittle. It cannot hold the structure of a building. So it is deemed as the steel doesn't have integrity. So integrity, the point I'm trying to observe is, bring in here is, integrity is not a part of you, it is your whole person, it is your whole personality, it is your whole entire person. So that's integrity. So that's the meaning of integrity, the idea of being complete. Okay, so what are the benefits? So we know that integrity is very important. God expects that in many people's life, especially when he chooses his people for his service. So let's look at some benefits of integrity. What are the benefits of integrity? The first one is God considers those who have integrity. God considers those who have integrity. Job 1:1, as Darren has read, "In the land of Uz there lived a man whose name was Job. He was blameless and upright. He feared God and shunned evil." He was blameless, he was upright, he feared God, and he shunned evil. And then Satan comes, the divine council comes, Satan also comes there, and then God is asking Satan, where are you coming from? The Satan answered, the Lord, roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it. Then the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? There is no man on earth like him. He is blameless, upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil. Look at the testimony from God. So Satan disagrees. Satan doesn't want to agree with God. He says no. So God gives Satan the permission to touch Job and his family. Job has two things. He had a large household, and he had a huge amount of property. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters, 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 oxen, and 5 donkeys. So when Satan touches Job, everything is lost in a single day. You know the story very well. In a single day, he's getting news, bad news, one after another. It seems like one person is not even stopped telling the news, not even finished yet, but another person comes, another one comes, another one comes. The biggest blow is he lost all his 10 children in a single day. Can you imagine losing all your children in a single day, 10 children? What is the response of a father who lost all his children in an accident? Can you imagine? Look at Job's response. Verse 20, first chapter. Job got up, tore his robe, shaved his head, fell to the ground, and worshipped God. That is integrity. That is integrity. He said, God, you give and you took away. You give and took away. We sing a song, right? Blessed be the name of the Lord. That's the song that Job used to worship God that day. That is integrity. Again, Satan goes to God. The Lord said to Satan, chapter 2, verse 3, have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright. He fears God and shuns evil. God adds another comment. Apart from the first chapter, he says he maintains his integrity, though you incited me against him to ruin him without any reason. So God himself says that he's a man of integrity. What a testimony of God, from God to Job. So what made God to look at Job? Right? So many people would have lived in that time. Right? He's kind of a contemporary around before Abraham's time. So many people would have, but God, look at what he says. In all the earth, there is no one like him. So what is the character that God expects in us is integrity. So when you walk with integrity, you have the full attention of God. God cannot bypass you. God cannot look away from you if you walk with integrity. So it's very important as a child of God to walk with integrity. The second thing is, God protects those who have integrity. God protects those who have integrity. I want to remind you a story in Genesis. You know this story. Abraham and Sarah, they are moving from place to place. Now they go to a place called Gerar. And Abraham feels that this place is a godless place. Nobody fears God. Abraham thinks himself, but it is not true. Nobody fears God. And then he says that his wife is his sister, because of fear that they would kill him to get his wife. So he says it's sister. No wonder the king of that place saw Sarah. She was beautiful. She was taken into his palace. So that night, God appeared to Abimelech the king, and he said, you are a dead man, because the wife, the lady you have, the woman you have is another man's wife. So he was a God-fearing man. He was so shocked. He thought that was a genuine marriage with Sarah. But that night, God miraculously intervenes, and he says, and then look what God says to Abimelech. What Abimelech says to God. Did he not say to me, Abimelech speaking to God, that she is my sister, and she even herself said, he is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and the innocence of my hands, I have done this. And God said to him, I know that you did this in the integrity of your heart, For I also withheld you from sinning against me. Look at that. Because of integrity, God protects you from sinning. Right? If you don't want to sin, this is the beautiful example that walk with integrity. God will be a defender. God will be a protector, because God looks at the heart. You don't want to sin, but somehow you are in a situation that you had to sin, but God will protect you. This is the principle that we learn from this passage. God protects to those to walk with integrity. Proverbs 2:7, He's a shield to those who walk with integrity. He's a shield to those who walk with integrity. Okay, we have seen two benefits, and there are lots of benefits. If you want to learn about integrity, you study a character of David, or you study Proverbs filled with integrity, or you study Psalm 15, it's filled with integrity. So let's move on. The next thing is, integrity matters to God. Integrity, it's all matters to God, I can say that. Integrity is what all matters to God. Let's see some of the scriptures. Genesis 43:12. And this context is, Genesis 43, you would have people of God, the children of Israel, children of Jacob, they have gone to Egypt, coming back, and there is no grain. They want to go back again. And Jacob says, also take double the money that was put back in your sacks, as it was probably someone's mistake. In the height of that drama and this tension, we miss this part sometimes, but it is integrity. Look at Jacob's integrity. It's a huge money. Joseph purposely put in the bag, but Jacob says that you take it back, it doesn't belong to us. This is financial integrity. Genesis 39:8 and 9. You know the story of Joseph and Potiphar's wife. Joseph says to Potiphar, Joseph refused. Look, he told her, my master trusts me with everything in the entire household. No one here has more authority than I do. He held back nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. How could I do such a wicked thing? It would be a great sin against God. That is moral integrity. That is moral integrity. The Bible is filled with integrity. Midwives, Exodus 1:17, midwives refused to obey the king's orders. They allowed the boys to live. They refused the king's orders. That is integrity, right? Again, few more examples. 1 Samuel 24:6 and 7. This is a beautiful example of integrity. David, 1 Samuel 24:6 to 7. David is speaking. I shouldn't attack the Lord's anointed one. The Lord himself has chosen him, so David restrained his men and did not let them kill Saul. David has already been anointed by God. His people are saying he had 400 men. He's saying that go ahead and kill them. This is God's given chance, and you will be the next king of Israel. He says, no, I will not do it, because he is God's anointed one. Why? Because David is a man of integrity. David knew that someday God would take Saul away, maybe by natural death or some war. David knew that. So he waited for many years. That's integrity. One more thing. Proverbs 3:29. Do not plot harm against your neighbor, for those who live nearby trust you. Can you look at integrity here? Do not plot harm against your neighbor, for those who live nearby trust you. This is social integrity. Okay, Luke 16:10 and 11. If you are faithful in little things, you'll be faithful in large ones. But if you are dishonest in little things, you won't be honest with greater responsibilities. This is integrity. I can move on, I can go on. If you're arguing about anything, that whether I should do it or not, because I don't know whether it is integrity, all these things, look at this scripture. Matthew 13 to 15. Then Jesus went from Galilee to Jordan River to be baptized by John. John tried to talk him out of it. I am the one who needs to be baptized by you. He said, why are you coming to me? But Jesus said, it should be done for we must carry out all that God requires. Can you see integrity here? Jesus doesn't have to get baptized. The Bible says he's a sinless, spotless Lamb of God. He knew no sin, but he still chose to get baptized because that's what God required Jesus to do. So if you're arguing about anything, there is no other scripture that can stop you, because Jesus himself did a thing that was not required of him. So I can go on and on. So if you see the story of Ananias and Sapphira in Acts, that's financial integrity. And if you see Zacchaeus, that's integrity. And if you take all the 10 commandments and if you put together, the sum total of 10 commandments is integrity. Because it talks about faithfulness, it talks about living a blameless life, being faithful, living pure. It's all in integrity. So the scripture is fully filled with integrity. So God's heart for us is that he wants to communicate to his children, to us, that he wants us to live with integrity. He wants us to live with integrity. So what does it mean to have integrity in a day-to-day life? We have seen integrity matters to God. What does it mean to have integrity in everyday life? Integrity always speaks the truth. You can read it as a person with integrity always speak the truth. I put it as integrity. Some of us just cannot speak the truth. We'll always spill lies. Right? How much time you'll take? 10 minutes. But you'll take 30 minutes. Right? It just happens. Did you finish your work? I'm finishing it. But you didn't even start it. Right? It just, you cannot even, maybe you would have started when you are very young, but that habit would have cultivated. If you do not stop, it will be dangerous. Why we lie? Because we don't want to get confronted. Right? Why I am tempted to say I'm reaching in 10 minutes, because I don't want to get confronted by Joylin. Right? So I just exaggerate. So it's a temptation. So we need to be very aware that even in small things that we will speak the truth. And we cannot continue, right? This pattern of keep on telling lies, we cannot continue. We need to put a stop to this. Secondly, integrity doesn't deceive others. Integrity always speaks the truth. Integrity doesn't deceive others. You don't want to say your friends that you are doing something, right? You don't want to say, because you want to say at the later point of time. But when they ask, what do you say? You try to say something and deceive them, because you don't want to know what you're doing, right? That's not the right response of the children of God. You frankly tell them, see, guys, this is premature to say everything. Please give me some time. I'm working on it. When the time comes, I'll tell you. That's integrity. So you don't have to deceive yourself. If you deceive and then you have to cover up that lie, you need to tell another lie, right? So don't indulge in it. I remember a thing that happened. It's a simple, silly thing, but it's still it's in my heart. In college days, we need to carry the ID card, right? ID card. So sometimes one day I forgot the ID card, but I got the tag, only the tag. So without ID card, they will not let you in the college, and then the watchman will stop you. They will let you in, but you need to go to the principal and get a letter and all these things. So, but at that I had the tag, so I took the tag and I put it here. So for everyone, it seems like I have the ID card. So I was there, and then everything was fine. By evening or afternoon, I said that my lecturer was there, and then he was just hanging around with me, and then he just put down and he just took it out. There was nothing was there. It was empty. I was so embarrassed. But this guy, he could have easily forgiven me. He went and told the HOD. Simple thing, but so he called me out. He told, I will never forget what he told. It's still Dr. Ganapati. He told, Titus, I am not surprised by everyone doing this, but I'm surprised that you are doing it. I'm so embarrassed, because he knows that I'm a child of God. I am Jesus' follower. It was so shocking for me, but I prayed that I will never deceive others. So it may be a small thing, friends, but it makes a big mark on your character if you do not have integrity, if you deceive others. Thirdly, integrity will keep its word. Integrity will keep its word. Some of us don't take efforts to keep our word, right? We say something, but it's just gone. And we feel it is okay. It's okay just to do something and then don't care about it. When you say that you will make a payment, you make sure that you make the payment on time because you said that you will do it. The person is waiting on you. When you tell your children that you will do something, you make sure that you do it because it matters to them, because they're going to follow you. If you don't do it, they will be like you. If you promised your loved ones a vacation, do all the efforts to do it, right? Just don't say that. Don't think like it doesn't matter because you gave your word. You are the child of God. You need to put all your efforts to keep your word. And the next one is integrity doesn't change its stand. When it will not. You have to keep by the word that you say or by the character. It doesn't. You should not change when you have integrity. And nextly, integrity will guard its trust. You will do everything in the world to keep that they trust you. The people trust in you. And then integrity will be honest. The person with integrity, they will be honest. Again, I want to tell you an example. In a test, I didn't know an answer. Maybe a 5-mark question, I think. So I asked my friend to show it. And then he showed. And then when I was writing, a teacher, he saw me, she caught me. So, and then she took, and then she compared. It was like everything was same from his paper and my paper. She understood that I copied. She left. She didn't say anything. Gracious lady, she didn't say anything. So after the exam is over, she called me and she said, Titus, I'm not surprised by others, but I'm surprised that you are doing it. What a shame. What a shame. So we need to be honest. I see students here, so be honest in everything that you do. Next is integrity is faithful. Integrity is being faithful. Faithfulness in marriage, faithfulness at your workplace, faithfulness in everything, faithfulness in filing your tax, in everything. It's faithfulness. I see my mom and dad doing the discipline of tithing very, very regularly. During those days, my dad worked with railways. There was no, the salary will come in cash. It was not credited in the bank, maybe like many years back. So my dad will come, it's on every 3rd of the month, my dad will come. I'll also come back from school, so we will sit together. My sister, I don't think she was born. We will sit together. We will pray for the salary. And then my dad will give my cash to the mom, and there's a box called tithe box and giving box. So she will ask me to count, exactly take 10%. So I'll take 10%, we'll put them in these boxes, to the church, to the missions, everything, and then we'll pray over it. So I've learned something from that act. Tithing it's a huge money, like 10% you give to God. For a child, I struggle to get 2 rupees, but 10% is going to God. I learned something that it is most important for my dad. Now I understand why it is important. So when we do something, we are teaching something to your children, right? So teach well. Faithfulness in tithing, do that. Integrity doesn't defend. Next one is integrity is being faithful. Integrity doesn't defend itself with a lie, right? So when you're confronted, when you don't want to say something, you don't want to get caught immediately, you just defend yourself with a lie. That's not integrity. Integrity doesn't exaggerate or understate, right? We always tend to exaggerate the things than that really is, or understate the things. So integrity doesn't do that. It will always tell the truth. Integrity values others' time, right? When you know that people are waiting for you, you will be on time because you value that person. That's integrity. Integrity doesn't have a double life. It doesn't have one private life and public life. It will have one single life. That's integrity. It will not have a double life. Integrity avoids unholy and wicked things. Integrity avoids unholy and wicked things. You see, the world is fully filled with lust. You take movies, you take serials, you take newspapers, you take advertisements everywhere, even games is filled with lust. I read that the 70% of the internet traffic is from porn sites. 70% of the internet traffic in India, it is from porn sites. 63% of the urban youth, they watch pornography in their mobile phones. 63% of people who live in Delhi, in urban cities, in India, Indian statistics. So pornography is $1 billion industry. So Satan is so successful in running it. That's why you need to raise, we as a children of God, we need to raise a wall of defense against pornography. If you're struggling with pornography, go on to your word and then take the Bible verses that helps you to fight against it. Psalm 119:105, it says, how can a young person stay pure? By heeding according to your word. So you read your word, ask God to give strength to overcome pornography. Right? So God hates pornography because it will ruin your life. It will ruin your life. It's like eating poison when God is preparing a 7-course meal. When God is preparing a 7-course meal, but you are eating the poison. That's pornography. So integrity avoids unholy and wicked things. The last one is integrity doesn't blame others, but it takes responsibility. You will not blame others immediately, but you will think through it and you will take responsibility. That's integrity. You have seen it's not a comprehensive list, but think through it. The next slide I put it as like you can replace the word integrity with God. You can replace the word integrity with God. The left side is what I've read. You can just replace it with God. God always speaks the truth. God won't deceive you. God will keep his word. God doesn't change. God is trustable. God is true. God is faithful. God won't lie to defend himself. God won't exaggerate or understate things. God values your time. God doesn't have a double life. God hates unholy and wicked things. God takes responsibility for his actions. Can you see? Integrity and God, they're very similar because the character of God is full of integrity. So next thing is I want to ask you, do you speak the truth? Exactly. All these things. Do you speak the truth? Do you deceive others? Do you keep your word? Are you stable? Can others trust you? Are you honest? Are you faithful? Do you lie to defend yourself? Do you exaggerate or understate? Do you value others' time? Do you live a double life? Are you addicted to any unholy patterns? Do you take responsibility for your actions? Time to think. This is the integrity test, like the steel integrity test. The next is, think about it. Take time, maybe you can take a screenshot or something and think about it. Do I really have integrity? If you say that you have integrity, just assign yourself some marks and see where you stand. Next thing is, integrity comes at a cost. It is not easy, it is not free. You have to pay for integrity. There is a cost, it's not always, but mostly there is a cost to be paid for integrity. Joseph had to pay the cost, right? He was in prison because of his integrity. Job paid the cost, we read the story. Daniel paid the cost. Shadrach, Abednego, they paid the cost. John the Baptist, Apostle Paul, even Jesus, everyone had to pay the cost. It's not free, friends. You have to pay the cost. I remember a story. A man named Govindasamy. A man named Govindasamy lived in Sri Lanka. He was known for his notorious crimes. So The police were in search of him, so they couldn't find. Finally, they found him. So the trial was on, and he was convicted for 2 murders. So he was put in prison, and even in prison, the authorities could not control him. He was abusing other prisoners. The other prisoners were so scared of him, so he was put in solitary confinement, like a separate, lonely room. That's the toughest, even most in the prison punishment. So he was alone there. So missionaries came to minister in the prison ministry. So they came to give gospel to, and then the authorities told that don't go and meet this guy. He's very notorious. He will harm you. But still they went and shared the gospel with him. So his life started to change. This is during British time, long back. So he said he wanted a Bible. So he read the Bible. He loved Jesus. His life started to change. He read, and then he changed. He became a new person. So what happened then? He started sharing this new faith, that his new joy with other inmates, and then everyone was so surprised by his change of behavior. So meanwhile, when this was happening, his wife was arranging clemency, a mercy petition for him. So he's telling the higher judiciary that you reduce the death sentence to a life sentence. She spent all the money, she was arranging it. So on the day, so the judge said that I want to personally interrogate, so you please bring him. So he was brought to the court, and then before the judge asked anything, he said, sir, I want you to read a letter before you ask me anything. So he gave the letter. So the judge read the letter, and he was so shocked, because he had written in that letter, I have not done 2 murders, I have done 5 murders. And then all the details of the murder was there in the letter as a proof. They can go and check. So he was so shocked, he doesn't know what to do, because he really wanted to help this man to reduce into a life sentence. But that has no other way. The law doesn't permit. If you murder 5 people, you have to face the consequence. So he just maintained, he just kept the sentence as it is. He didn't reduce it. So he was so shocked, and then he asked the prisoner, and he'd come and meet me in my office. So he met him. He said that I'm a Buddhist judge. I've been in this service for so many years, but I've never seen a person like you who will accept this crime, even though you know that you can get a life. So he gave his hope. So his wife was so sad and angry and frustrated, but he comforted his wife. He said he gave hope to his children, and then he happily went on to gallows. Friends, that is the life of integrity, right? It will cost you something. When you say that you know Jesus deeply, you have a living relationship with Jesus, it will reflect in your life. You will be true. See, for Govindasamy, missionaries gave him a new name called Breckenridge. He wrote a beautiful song, and he sang the song before he went to the gallows. So for Govindasamy, integrity costed his life. So it's worth living a life of integrity, even though it will cost you. So church, I want you to take this word, that are you willing to pay the price? It's not always free, it's not always simple. You need to pay the price. I want to leave with you a few positive note. Living a life of integrity, there is a rich reward for living a life of integrity. Look at this. You will cultivate an exemplary character, right? You will cultivate an exemplary character. You will have a clear conscience. You do not have to live with guilt that whether you said the truth or not. You will have a clear conscience. The delight of personal intimacy with God, that's the reward for integrity. You will have that personal delight. God delighted in Job. God delighted in David, right? There is a joy. Psalm 119:1, it says, joy, blessed is the person who has integrity. You will mentor others. If you walk with integrity, you will be able to mentor others. You will get an appreciation from God finally when you meet him face to face. He said, well done, good and faithful servant. Look at integrity there, good and faithful servant. Right? So it's worth living a life of integrity.